Have you ever stopped to think, I mean, really think about the words you use every day? Could they, vanish just like that? Or could they actually ripple outwards, creating echoes? Echoes that might shape your life, maybe even other people's lives, way down the line. It's a pretty deep thought, isn't it? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that. We're exploring a really fascinating concept from Buddhist teachings called Wachikam. You might know it better as verbal karma. And our mission here for this deep dive is to explore some really captivating sources. These actually come from a major Dhamma media project. It was led by the very respected teacher Fra Visut, who many know as Luangpur Dhammajayo. This whole project, it's aimed at helping people live good moral lives, basically by showing the long-term impact of what we say. So we're going to unpack two really powerful case studies from these sources. They show just how far-reaching our words can be, sometimes across lifetimes. It should be quite interesting.
Oh, absolutely. It's a profound topic. Because, at its heart, verbal karma, wajigam, it tells us our words aren't just fleeting sounds. They carry energy. They carry intent. And because of that, they carry consequences. And these aren't just like abstract ideas. The consequences can show up very concretely, sometimes in this life, sometimes in future lives, really shaping what we experience. So it's not only what you say, but also the energy behind it. Kindness, anger, just dismissing someone.
Yeah.
That's what really shapes the karmic result. Our words are actions, really. And actions always, always have reactions.
That makes a lot of sense, the energy we put out there. Okay, let's jump right into our first case study then. This one is, well, it's incredibly poignant, really pulls you in. We're looking at the story of a child who, in this life, tragically can't speak. The sources say it's because of severe brain inflammation. And you can just imagine the distress, right, for the child, obviously struggling to communicate even basic needs, but also for the parents. Loving parents, doing everything they can. It's just heartbreaking for everyone.
It really is a struggle right at the core of, well, human connection. Now, from a purely medical standpoint, a doctor looking at this, they'd naturally point to a physical cause, probably an infection, something causing the inflammation, and they'd focus on treating that physical side, which is the logical, scientific way to look at the immediate, the proximate cause.
Right, the immediate physical trigger. But okay, so let's look beyond that. Our sources, these teachings, they offer this compelling karmic view. How do they explain the connection between, say, a medical condition like brain inflammation and maybe a deeper spiritual cause?
That's the key question, isn't it, from this karmic perspective? While the physical issue is the immediate cause, the teachings suggest there's an ultimate cause, a kind of seed planted in a past life. And that seed then sprouts, manifests in the present situation. For this specific child, the sources describe their previous life. In that life, this same individual was apparently very self-centered and frequently spoke really disrespectfully, fiercely argued with their mother. There's a Thai term used,
Yeah.
which is just real friction, constant clashes, a real lack of respect for the mother.
Wow. So pattern of harsh self-focused speech towards their own mother.
Right.
That's quite an image. But the sources had more layers, don't they? It wasn't just that.
No, it's more complex. While this child was disrespectful to the mother, they apparently really loved their father. And the reason given is that the father, and also the father's parents, the grandparents, they consistently indulged the child, supported the bad behavior even. The grandparents especially are pointed out as key enablers, always siding with the child against the mother, basically validating the disrespect.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, karmically speaking. Even with all that disrespect in that past life, the father, who seems like a decent person, encouraged the child to apologize to the mother, and the mother, having a good heart, actually forgave the child. So there was a moment of, making amends.
Yes, but this is a crucial detail the sources emphasize. Even with that apology, that request for forgiveness, and the mother's genuine acceptance, what they call residual karma, set karma in Thai, it still remained. And that's a really powerful point. Forgiveness is vital, right? For healing, for moving on. But the original action, the disrespectful speech, it still set a cause in motion. And causes have effects. It's less about punishment, more like a natural law unfolding. It shows how deep these things can go, even after reconciliation.
Residual karma. So the apology and forgiveness are huge for healing the relationship, freeing the heart maybe. But the actual imprint of the action itself still carries some weight. Is that the idea?
And that's a good way to put it. Forgiveness heals the interpersonal side, absolutely. It's crucial for spiritual growth. But the act itself created a sort of karmic imbalance, if you like. And that energy, while it still needs to resolve itself somehow, it really highlights how our words can embed themselves in our experience.
And then there's this incredible karmic twist. Get this. The very same grandparents who enabled all that bad behavior back then, in this current life, They've been reborn as the child's parents. It's like the universe saying, okay, now you get to see how it feels. Talk about a lesson in empathy.
Mm-mm. A vivid lesson. It really underscores how interconnected everything is, and how these cycles of consequence often seem designed, you could say, to help us develop understanding and compassion. This role reversal forces them to experience the challenges, the suffering, that came from the very actions they once supported.
But importantly, there's a glimmer of hope in this story. Because the child did ask for forgiveness from the mother in that past life, the sources say there's a real chance for recovery, for healing in this life. That act of remorse matters.
Absolutely. That sincere repentance, asking for forgiveness, it acts like a positive force.
Hmm.
It doesn't magically erase the past, but it creates new, good energy that can influence the present outcome. It can shift the balance.
Okay, so what does this mean for them now? For the child, for the parents dealing with this? The path forward, according to the sources, is pretty clear. They need to accumulate a lot of merit. Build up good karma, basically, through consistent practice. This means things like charity tie-in, upholding moral precepts, seal, and practicing meditation pavana. The thinking is, as this positive merit grows stronger, the negative karma from the past gradually fades. It allows the good results, like recovery, to actually manifest. It's a proactive approach.
Exactly. A spiritual strategy for working with karma.
Right. Now, let's shift to the second case study, this one. It presents an even more complex picture of verbal karma. It involves three siblings, all of whom are mute. And the sources are careful to point out they aren't deaf. They can hear perfectly fine, but when they try to speak, it comes out as unintelligible sounds, described maybe as like a severe stutter or stammer. The dot god is the sound described. Communication is incredibly hard for them. It's different from the first case, but just as heartbreaking.
Yes, equally challenging. And looking at their past life karma. The sources described these three back then as being very playful children. Maybe a bit too playful. They apparently really enjoyed making fun of other people, teasing, joking around. But that playful teasing, unfortunately, went too far. It turned from just fun into something genuinely hurtful.
And that's where their first big act of verbal karma happened, right? These three siblings, they repeatedly mocked another child, a child who was actually mute. Maybe it started as kids just being mean, but it apparently became malicious. They made this mute child incredibly sad, brought them to tears. And the sources say the mute child's mother was so upset, she went and confronted the mother of the three siblings.
Right. And this is a pivotal moment. Because now the mother's verbal karma comes into play quite significantly. Instead of, taking responsibility, apologizing for her kids, she got defensive. She retorted really harshly. Said things like, well, take better care of your child then. Or even worse, something like, well, tell him not to be mute then. Just awful things. And the offended mother, in her deep pain and anger, made a powerful wish. She wished that this defensive mother would also have mute children, so she'd finally understand the suffering she was causing. That wish, born from such intense pain, carried a lot of karmic weight.
Wow, that's just stark. How words spoken in anger and defensiveness can plant such seeds. But for the siblings themselves, the story doesn't end there. There was another incident.
Yes, a second layer involving them directly. Later in that same past life, when they were adults, their parents took them to a temple. Seems the parents were trying to guide them towards good. While there, they encountered a venerable monk, an older monk, Loang Ta. Apparently, this monk spoke very slowly, maybe with a stammer. His mind was quick, but his speech couldn't keep up. And what did these three siblings do? Behind his back, they started mocking him, imitating his slow, stammering way of speaking. The monk, however, showed incredible equanimity. He remained totally indifferent to their ridicule.
Unbelievable, mocking a monk like that.
And the connection the sources draw is crystal clear. They state explicitly that it was these two main acts of verbal karma combined. First, the group mockery of the mute child plus their mother's harsh words. And second, their later mockery of the venerable monk. The combined weight of both of these resulted in all three siblings being born mute in this current life. It shows how different negative actions, different streams of karma, can converge and lead to one major outcome.
And just like the first case, there's that striking pattern of karmic transference again. The parents from that past life, the ones who raised those three mocking children, including the defensive mother, they are also their parents in this life. Again, the sources say, so they can feel what it's like. Experience firsthand the result of the past actions. It's like looking in a karmic mirror.
A very clear mirror, yes. Now, when it comes to resolving this, the sources suggest that while accumulating merit, making strong positive aspirations, well, that's always vital, this particular kind of muteness resulting from these severe acts is described as much harder to resolve completely within this lifetime. The implication is they might carry this condition for the rest of this life. However, and this is important, by diligently accumulating merit now through charity, precepts, meditation, they can significantly lessen the karmic weight for their future lives. They're essentially paving the way for better rebirth. It's a long game.
So even if a full fix isn't likely now, the effort is never wasted. It counts for the future. And the sources then mention the sort of ultimate recommendation for overcoming severe karma like this. It's called reaching the Dhamma body, or Kautung Pra Dhammakai. Can you explain that a bit? What does that mean, and why is it considered the ultimate solution?
Reaching the Dhamma body. It refers to a very profound level of spiritual attainment. It means accumulating such an immense amount of merit, achieving such deep insight and purification through meditation, that your good karma becomes incredibly powerful. So powerful that it ripens and takes effect before any remaining negative karma gets a chance to fully manifest its results. It's not about erasing karma exactly, but about reaching a state of inner purity and powerful positive energy that transcends the cycle. Your mind is so refined that those negative imprints just can't take hold in the same way. It's seen as the most profound way to overcome karmic obstacles.
What an incredible deep dive this has been, just seeing the potential impact of our words laid out like this. We've touched on the lasting power of verbal karma, that interesting idea of residual karma sticking around even after forgiveness, and these intricate ways karma can play out across lifetimes, even flipping roles for people involved. It really underscores the weight of our speech.
It absolutely does. And the common thread through both these powerful stories is clear. The immense power of accumulating merit. Consistently practicing charity, upholding morality, developing the mind through meditation. These are presented as the practical tools we have, tools to lessen the impact of past negative karma or even resolve it. And then, yes, that ultimate goal of reaching the Dhamma body represents the highest potential for transformation, for truly mastering these universal laws of cause and effect.
So as we finish up today, it really leaves you with something to chew on, doesn't it? If our words, even seemingly small ones, can hold such immense power, shaping our present, our future, the lives of others, how might really understanding that change the way we speak to each other day to day? What words are we choosing right now? It's definitely something worth reflecting on.